Hey guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in yellow, and we're learning to apply the cosine rule to find unknown sides and angles. So cosine rule to find sines and angles are the key things that we're trying to focus on today. So the earlier video, we wrote down what the formula was, and we're going to start that off with question 1, which we're going to look at from the right-hand side. And we're going to be dealing with a squared will be equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times cos a. All right, from there, we then need to label our triangle, and we're dealing with the one over here. So reminder for the cosine rule, the given angle, we always need to label A. So big A will be the given angle. That means that little a will be opposite that one there. So little a would be opposite big A. So we'll have A there. And then B and C, they join to create big A. And in our case, B and C, they don't matter which way around they go. So hopefully that makes sense. We're then going to start in by substituting everything we know. So little a, well, that's going to be x squared. That comes from our diagram. That's going to be equal to b squared, which is 22 squared. We're then going to add c squared, which is 28. We're then going to minus 2 times 22 times 28 times cos 97. And that's the given angle, or the big A, as well. From there, we then just go ahead and we carry on with solving this equation. So x squared is going to be equal to 484 plus 784 minus 1,232 lots of cos 97. We can then rearrange or simplify that a little bit more. So let's group those numbers together. So x squared is going to be equal to 1,268. We're then going to subtract 1,232 of cos 97. X is then going to become the square root of all that. So 1,268 minus 1,232 times cos 97. If you put that into your graphics calculator, hopefully you're going to get 37.7. We're not given units, so I'm just going to write units, and I've rounded that to 1 decimal point. Okay, so we've done question 1. Let's move over to question 2 now, and I'll switch to the blue pen over there. So question 2 down the bottom. So the question 2, even though they're pretty similar, in both questions you try to find a side. You'll actually see, because we're trying to find B or C instead of A, there'll be a lot more, or the algebra we take will be a lot different. So let's start off with our equation. So A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cos big A. So let's go to our triangle and let's start labeling our sides. So the given angle, that there will be side or angle of big A. We've then got little a will be the opposite to that, and then B and C will be the other two that join there. And I guess the key difference is question 1, we were trying to find A. Question 2, we are trying to find C, and that makes it a little bit different. But let's get into it. Let's start. So similar processes, start in by substituting. So 7 squared will be equal to 5 squared plus x squared minus 2 times 5 times x times cos big A, which is 30 degrees. We then start our simplifying process. So 49 is going to be equal to 25 plus x squared minus 10 lots of cos 30, and that there is then times by x. We can then rearrange this, and hopefully a few of us have recognized we've got an x squared and an x, so we're actually going to be dealing with a quadratic when we're trying to find B or C. So 0 is going to be equal to x squared minus 10 lots of cos 30 and then that's times x. So cos 30 times x, and then we're going to go minus 24. And then from there, if we put that into our graphics calculator, we should get two answers for x. So in this case, a will be equal to 1, b will be equal to negative 10 lots of cos 30, and c will be negative 24. So x1 and x2. Our graphics calculator tells us that is 10.9 centimeters, and I rounded that to 1 dp, and below that there is negative 2.2 centimeters, also rounded to 1 dp. And hopefully remember, with quadratics, sometimes there are false answers, and hopefully that last answer is causing us issues because we can't have a negative measurement. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ignoring that. That is a false answer. Therefore, x will be equal to 10.9 centimeters. So hopefully that makes sense. So when you're calculating a, we just go through and solve. But if you ever are required to calculate a b or a c value, you are left with a quadratic. And that does mean you have to eliminate any potential false answers. We're now going to move on to our final question. So I'm going to change pen color. We'll go with orange. Question 3. So this time around, we are calculating an internal angle, nothing to do with the sides, and we've got all three of them given to us. So let's start off. So big A is the angle that we're given, or the angle that we're interested in this case. Opposite to that is little a, and B and C join together to make angle A. So let's write down our formula. A squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times cos big A. So in our case, little a, 5.9 squared, that's going to be equal to 3.1 squared plus 4.3 squared minus 2 times 3.1 times 4.3 times cos big A. That's going to be taken out, and we're now going to substitute in little a, and that's what we've been asked to solve for down the bottom. We can then use our calculator to find out each of these. So 5.9 squared, that's 34.81. And then we've got 3.1 squared, 3.1 squared, that's equal to 9.61, plus 4.3 squared, that is equal to 18.49. We're then going to subtract 2 times 3.1 times 4.3, and that's equal to 2.66 cos little a. From there, we go through and we do a bit of rearranging. Let's take this negative to 26.66 cos a to the other side. So that's going to become positive 26.66 cos little a. And we're then going to take the positive 34.81 to the other side. So that means 29.61 plus 18.49 minus 34.81. We then add up that right hand side, 9.61 plus 18.49 plus 34.81, minus 34.81. And when we do that, we should get 2.66 cos little a, that's equal to negative 6.71. We're then going to go cos a is equal to negative 6.71 divided by 26.66. We're then going to inverse cos that, negative 6.71 divided by 26.66. And when you put that into your graphics calculator, you're going to get, so negative 1, so inverse cos, negative 6.71 divided by 26.66. And that there is equal to 104.6 degrees, and I've rounded that to 1 decimal point. And that there then tells us what angle A is. So hopefully you found this video useful. What we did is we used the cosine rule to figure out how do we find out a little a, how do we find out little a or little b and little c, and how can we find out the angle if we're required to?